Hey guys, Repulse here and welcome back to another Marvel Avengers video, and this one is going to be about Iron Man and his skill tree and what he can bring to the table. So let's start off with our melee tree. We have our first one, which is Iron Gauntlet, so pressing square to lunge forward and engage enemies in close quarter combat. Rapidly pressing square 4 times to combo a series of light attacks that inflict increased damage. The last hit of the light attack combo finisher that inflicts significant damage and launches enemies into the air, which is pretty nice. And then we can go straight into Thruster's Uppercut, which basically holds square to perform a thruster assisted uppercut that breaks blocks and launches enemies into the air. Great for getting rid of those block breaks, or the blocks, so easy with that one. Then we have Aerial Assault, so this is while you're in the air. It's basically the same as the Iron Gauntlet, just in the air, and you do a flying kick backwards and basically get some distance if they are going to get straight back up quicker. I don't know. Anyways, Power Dive. Hold square while in mid-air to dive down, slamming airborne enemies down to the ground and staggering nearby enemies on impact, which is pretty cool for clearing or making a path and blocking, well, breaking those blocks even. We also have a Dive Amplifier, so increases the stun, impact, damage, and reactions severity of for Power Dive, and also increases the Power Dive by 35% of its area effect, which is pretty sweet. Moving on to our Repulses, our first ranged attack, and we have Repulsor Shot. So basically hold L2 and then you can fire it. You can also charge it as well, so that's pretty cool. We also have this is the charge one, Power Blast, so hold L2 and then hold R2 to charge it up, so you unleash the Power Blast. Then we have Slingshot. Press triangle while dodging to perform an evasive spin that quickly fires back-to-back repulsors towards the target. Attacks drain intrinsic supercharged energy, so be careful with that. Okay, we have Hand Cannon, so basically repeatedly tap in triangle to auto-target and shoot repulsors at nearby enemies. Rapidly pressing triangle to combo a series of heavy attacks. The last hit of the combo is a more powerful one, so it's pretty cool. It does medium damage, which is okay. Power Pulse. Holding triangle to auto-target fires a charged repulse shot at nearby enemies, dealing more damage and knocking targets off their feet, so that also breaks blocks, so that's very handy for those shielded dudes. Then we have Repulsor Strike. Rapidly pressing square 3 times and then ending it with triangle to chain the light attack combo into a heavy combo finisher that breaks through enemy defenses, knocking combatants away and leaving them vulnerable to additional attacks. Also breaks blocks, which is cool. Then we have our shotgun. Pressing triangle while sprinting to auto target a fire dual Repulsor Blast at nearby enemies, so that's pretty cool as well. And then moving on to our lasers, lasers are really fun in this game. I actually like them. So we have our first one, Laser Beam, so basically the same as Repulsors. Held L2 and then R2 to fire, and it's exactly the same when you are flying as well. You just hold R2 and you can use it. Also switching between lasers and repulsors, left for repulsor, right for lasers. We have Energy Lance, so basically holding L2 and pressing down R2 to power up the repulsor the laser, which is pretty cool. Increases blocks and does damage over time. Nice. Burning Edge. Pressing triangle while dodging to slide forward and perform 2 large laser swipes, staggering all enemies in wide area. That's pretty damn cool. We have Photon Samurai, which is pretty cool. I do like using this attack. With lasers equipped, press triangle to activate a sweeping beam that cuts through enemies, inflicting stun damage. Rapidly pressing triangle 3 times to combo a series of heavy attacks. The last hit of the heavy attack is increased damage. Awesome. We have Whirlwing Tempest. Whirlwing Tempest I do like using when you're in the middle of a crowd and they're all stunned, and you just do that to do a little bit more damage. So with this, hold triangle to slice through surrounding enemies with a spinning dual beam attack, which is awesome. We have Laser Strike. rapidly pressing a square 3 times and then ending it with a triangle is a combo finisher that breaks through enemy defenses, fiercely cutting down a wide swath of targets and leaving them vulnerable to additional attacks. So that's basically an attack opener because it leaves them staggered, so that's pretty cool. Then we have Laser Scythe. So when you're in the air, hold triangle, well, press triangle while in the air to pull the enemies into the air, and then rapidly pressing triangle to chain a series of heavy aerial attacks. Also breaks blocks. Then we have Magnetron, I don't know, whatever, that one, with lasers equipped, hold triangle while in mid-air to unleash both lasers simultaneously, firing a forward-facing double beam that knocks enemies away, also breaks blocks. Now we have rockets. I haven't used rockets just yet as they aren't unlocked, so basically hold L2 and R2 to fire the rockets. While flying, wait for the reticle to auto-target and an enemy, hold R2 to lock onto the target, and then release R2 to fire the missiles. Cool. Smart rockets is basically you can tag enemies and then just release R2, which is cool, and it basically sends them flying, as you can see in this little clip right here, and it does look really interesting. Like, also breaks blocks, so you want to get some stuff that breaks blocks too. We have counterfire, press triangle while dodging backwards to fire a pair of homing rockets towards nearby enemies. That's pretty sweet. We have Scorched Earth. With rockets equipped, press triangle to quickly fire a powerful rocket at the most direct target. So this one will go for the one that's closest to you and pushes them back so you can like create openers. So that's pretty cool. We have Javelin. Now this one looks pretty cool. With rockets equipped, hold triangle to fire sticky rockets that attach to nearby targets and then detonate after a short delay. The longer the button is held, the more rockets are fired. Awesome. Then we have Rocket Strike. Rapidly pressing square 3 times and ending it with triangle to have a heavy combo finisher that breaks free enemies' defenses, pushing the target before exploding and leaving them vulnerable to additional attacks. That is awesome. That is your primary skill tree. Now let's look at your speciality one. So we're looking for our support heroic ability. This is Arc Overload. L1 to overload the arc reactor, emitting a massive pulse of electricity energy that instantly shocks nearby enemies that trigger an instant intrinsic overcharged state for 10 seconds. That's cool. We have specialization 1 of Arc Overload. We have EMP. Use Arc Overload to triggers an electromagnetic pulse with deals considerable stun damage to all nearby enemies. That's pretty cool. Arc Field. Arc Overload generates an one directional projectile bubble that blocks incoming. So that's basically like a shield projectile, but allows ranged attacks from inside the bubble to pass through, damaging enemies outside the arc field. That's cool. Okay. Arc Supercharge increases the duration of the overcharged state by 3 seconds when activated by Arc Overload. That's cool. Then we have Arc Infusion. When Arc Overload is used, all nearby teammates are infused with a burst of 100% intrinsic energy. That's very handy. Arc Overcharge. Teammates hit by Arc Overload, energy surge will instantly become overcharged. Nice. So if you're Black Widow, this could come in handy to get that double damage. So that's cool. Increase the duration of Arc Overload by 3 seconds. Nice. Then we have our Arc Overload specialization number 2. We have Emp Amplifier. Increases the range and intensity of the electromagnetic pulse shockwave by 30%. Requires use of EMP ability. Cool. Defensive Field. Arc Field. Frequently modifications reflect projectiles back at the enemy who launched them. Requires use of Arc Field ability. That's actually pretty cool. That could come in handy in some like form. Cool. Arc Jolt. The energy bursts released by Arc Overload instantly revives nearby teammates. That's awesome. Now we are moving over to our Assault Heroic ability. That's the Chest Beam, so we want to know that. The Uni Beam, so hold R1 and then fires that. That's cool. Let's go over to specialization number 1. We have Precision Refractor. Increases the maximum Uni Beam duration by 3 seconds even, allowing for greater damage output. Nice. We have Reserve capacitor. Additional energy capacitors allow storage of up to 3 charges of Unibeam, so that's pretty cool. Heroic ability, but shorten the fire time to a quick burst. Okay, that's cool. Then we have a Mega Beam, a concentrated beam that combines both repulsors and Unibeam's firepower into a single massive energy blast that deals a large amount of damage to everything in its path. That is awesome. And then we have efficient coils, increases the charge rate of Unibeam heroic energy by 15%, and then we have Overcharged Blast. Unibeam ability deals 25% additional damage if triggered when overcharged. We have number 2, specialization. We have Concentrated Fire. Unibeam deals more damage to a target that the longer the blast is maintained on a single enemy. When using the reserve's capacitor skill, each additional shot against the same target will deal 30% more damage. Nice. Triple Down. Rapidly defeating 3 enemies with Unibeam will overcharge the intrinsic supercharge ability. Nice. Energy condenser even. Enemies defeated by Unibeam will drop heroic orbs. That's also cool. Now for our ultimate ability, which is the Hulkbuster, which I like using because Hulkbuster is actually pretty cool. We have, in this one, I've just stuck in Power Beam so I can use the ranged attacks for it. That's pretty cool. Let's actually go down this one. Magno Missile. When using Hulkbuster, press L1 and R1 to fire a spread of enemy-seeking rockets that can target up to 5 enemies. Rockets explode on impact, inflicting nope, I ain't gonna try and pronounce that. Damage on nearby combatants. Basically, it does a status effect damage. That's pretty cool. Then we have Hyper Reactor. Upgrades the Hulkbuster Arc Reactor to allow the armor to remain deployed for 5 more seconds. That's cool. We have specialization number 1 for the Hulkbuster. We have Hulkbuster Unibeam. So we can use the Unibeam for the Hulkbuster, which is cool, by pressing R1 to unleash a torrential beam of energy drawn directly from the center RT node. Cool. Disruption Pulse. When using Hulkbuster, press R2 to emit a wavelength pulse that immobilizes all enemies with its radius. God, that was really hard to speak English on that one. Magno Missile Barrage. Magno Missiles can target up to 8 enemies. It requires Magno Missile ability, so that's pretty cool. So you have that and that. You can get an additional 8 people on the board. Then we have a Hulkbuster level 2, or specialization 2 I should say. We have Hypercoils. Arc Reactor improvements allow the Hulkbuster to deploy for 5 more seconds. So if you take that and add that, you're getting an extra 10 seconds on Hulkbuster. Reduces the intrinsic energy cost by 25% for actions or attacks while using the Hulkbuster. And Titanium Bravado, or whatever it is. Hulkbuster's melee attacks have a 15% chance to taunt nearby enemies, drawing their attention, which is pretty cool. That's your ultimate heroic ability. Now moving on to our defensive stuff. So we have Energy Shield, so that's your R2 block, pretty cool. We have our Energy Pulse. So activating Energy Shield is basically when you time that counter, you can do this kind of stagger, which is cool. Then we have Energy Barrier. Holding R2 to create an energy barrier that blocks all incoming projectiles until it takes enough damage to be destroyed. Sweet. Then we have Stronghold. Increases energy barrier by duration by 2 seconds. Cool. And then we have Parry Strike. After successfully parrying an attack, press triangle to perform a heavy combo finisher. Nice. You can go straight into a combo finisher. Cool. Supercharge. Fill all segments of the intrinsic supercharge meter to enter overcharge. While overcharged, the intrinsic meter remains fully charged and attack deals increased damage by 12%. Duration is 10 seconds. That's cool. Energy Shunt. Triggering Energy Pulse boosts intrinsic energy by 15%. Nice. Rampart. Defeating enemies while near the energy barrier boosts intrinsic energy by 10%. Okay, and this is Ion Battery, increasing the maximum amount of intrinsic super energy by 10%. Awesome. Now we have our Thruster Dodge, so pressing circle to dodge incoming attacks. Cool. Then we have Rocket Burn, holding circle to vault over someone. We have Flight. then we have our air dashes, and then we have our plasma buffers. 15% reduction in damage from enemy plasma attacks, which is pretty cool if you're against people that have plasma energy. Then we have our combat, range, and intrinsic and utility masteries, so let's go for it. We have stun mastery, increases all stun damage dealt to enemies by 15%. We have air combat mastery, boosts critical attacks damage done while in the air, juggling opponents by 15%. Cool. Combo finisher mastery, increases the damage of all combo finishers by 25%. We have takedowns. We have willpower takedown mastery, so performing a takedown spawns a regen pack, a heroic orb, and also an intrinsic orb. We have ranged attacks, so this is all to your repulses, rockets, and lasers. Increased all range attack by 15%. We have increased critical damage by 15%. We have 15% reduction to intrinsic energy meter costs for all ranged attacks and weapons. Cool. Moving on to our ranged. We have ranged repulsor mastery, increases critical attack damage for repulses by 15%. We have increased stun damage for all laser attacks by 20%. We have rocket mastery, increases damage for all rockets attacked by 12%. There we go. We have repulsor specialization, increases rate of fire for aim and repulsor attacks by 10%. That could be very helpful. Laser specialization reduces the intrinsic energy costs of using aimed fire for the laser weapon by 10%. Sweet. Rocket specialization adds target guidance system to basic aimed rockets. Nice. We have repulsor efficiency, decreases intrinsic energy costs for repulsor attack by 10%. We have laser efficiency, basically does the same by 10%, and also 10% for the rockets on the intrinsic energy. Now our intrinsic energy ability, or intrinsic ability even. Arc reactor capacity increases the maximum amount of intrinsic supercharged energy by 15%. We have Arc Reactor Generator, increases the base regeneration speed of intrinsic energy by 10%. We have Arc Reactor Kinetic Atomizer, increases intrinsic energy gained from dealing damage with light attacks by 16%. That's cool, but that's also per hit, so awesome. Instantly generate 15 points of intrinsic energy when performing a perfect evade. That's awesome. Stun intrinsic boost. Stunning an enemy instantly boosts intrinsic energy by 25%. We have increased the duration of the overcharge state by 2%, or 2 seconds, sorry. We have overcharge damage boost, increased damage for all attacks while overcharged by 12.5%. Nice. 20% reduction in damage from all attacks while overcharged. And then we have overcharged heroic boost, increase the charge rate of all heroic meters while overcharged by 10%. Now to our utilities, so our air defense stuff. So we have energy shield efficiency, reduces the cost of energy shield by 15%. We have Reactive Generator, generates 15 intrinsic energy points while parrying enemy attacks with the Energy Pulse ability. Requires the Energy Pulse skill to have this. We have Energized Pulse, adds shock damage to Energy Pulse ability, again needing the Energy Pulse skill. Moving over to our Empowering Barrier, regenerates 5% per second of intrinsic energy of heroes near the energy barrier, again needs the energy barrier. This one, the energy barrier will reflect projectiles back at the attacker, that can be very helpful. We have Tactical Barrier, heroes near the energy barrier gain a 15% critical chance increase on all attacks. Nice. And then we have our Afterburners, so holding X will fly to increase speed at the cost of intrinsic energy. That's cool. Countermeasures, double tap and circle while flying to fire off flares that draw in tracking projectiles. Great for those rockets. Cooldown is 10 seconds, so you can only do that 10 seconds. And then we have increased damage of ranged attacks while flying by 15%. And there we have it. That is our Iron Man skill tree, and that was a long one because he has a lot of stuff to go with. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe for more. Go check out my Miss Marvel and my Black Widow skill trees, and yeah, I will see you in the next one. We are going to be doing Hulk possibly next, or Captain America, or Thor. Who knows who comes up next. But anyways, I will see you in the next one. Peace.